Today on Talk the Tings, I want to talk a little bit light, but also a little bit deep. So, recently, there was a film released by Tyler Perry Studios. I'm not talking about his court case, so this is not that story. So, he had a film called Straw. Straw stars Taraji P. Henson, Sherry Shepherd, Tiana Taylor, and other faces that were good to see, including Sinbad. Now, as far as the film goes, it's not as bad as other Tyler Perry films. And those who critique him know this. I watch a lot of films and I am a critic. And I can tell you that it doesn't quite meet the sniff test of, oh my God, how horrible. However, one of the critiques that Tyler gets all the time is about tapping into trauma and grief. And I'm telling you, this one did that in a real way, more so than I think he intended with other films. So I was watching this, and that is what came across to me when I'm seeing the reactions. Because people are literally online showing videos of reactions to the film, and they are crying like guttural crying for the loss that is experienced by the main character in the film, and crying for what I'm identifying as collective trauma, a group trauma. And so that is actually what he taps into. I couldn't understand why, like, I will always support his filmmaking. Well, for now, we'll see where this court case goes. But I'll always support his filmmaking because he hires Black actors, he keeps them properly paid, and as much as you may not like the content, it's not for you. So you don't have to watch it. But as much as you may not like the content, he is tapping into something. And I had a eureka moment. He is tapping into collective trauma. What does that mean? So the average person experiences trauma. Everybody experiences trauma in their lifetime. It is said that Black women will experience it. 8 out of 10 Black women will experience trauma in their lifetime. That's a high number. But don't feel like you have a corner. Everybody else, every group of color and so on can also speak to this. So what is this group trauma? Well, discrimination is a big bond for people of color, especially Black people. Discrimination is a trauma that lasts for generations. And it is what is identified, I believe, why people are reacting in this way to straw. This woman experiences multiple straws that could break the camel's back. And I hear people saying, it's so unrealistic. How could she experience all of those things? But Black Americans can tell you. Black Americans can tell you that in an average day, between microaggressions, between, dealing with the challenges of poverty, between dealing with the challenges of discrimination, even if you're not in poverty, all of those things could happen. Maybe not all at once, maybe not all in one day, but maybe all in 1 week. And so that amount of trauma that is, sitting with us is what he's tapped into. And that is why big men and women are crying when watching this film. It's also because the genre, film is that kind of thing that gets to you. It gets you to have emotional engagement, meaning you forget that you are not a part of the film. It gets you to have catharsis, meaning you get that good cry that you needed and the film allowed you to have it in a safe space, likely in your home or in a theater with a group that you're comfortable with. It also helps you to release oxytocin. So, you get a little feel-good hormones after experiencing all the things that you do in the film. So now it all makes sense to me. Because when I tell you, if you assess the film, not a deep story. It's basically John Q, the female version, but not as finessed, not as mildly handled in terms of the themes, but certainly impactful. And that is the power of the Tyler Perry. I have always wondered, what is it why people not only continue to be drawn to his almost simplistic filmmaking, but it is the emotional, the group trauma, and the ability to quickly identify that discrimination, poverty, not having access to healthcare, not having access to safe homes is such a collective knowing that when you see it on screen, you get drawn in. Kudos to him for doing this film. And kudos to Taraji, kudos to Sherry, kudos to Tiana for depicting these stories in a strong way. Of course, for me, on Taught the Things, I always try to go behind what we're seeing. And in this case, we who watched it had an insight into a collective grief, a collective trauma, and some of us reacted differently because of maybe our strength or exposure to these traumas, and some of us handled it in a different way. And I am making space for all of it. Take care.